Welcome to CATtheMinion Energy Work. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is an astrology tarot periodical reading. I'm doing them in 6 pairs for this set. So if this reading isn't sounding like it's helping you, then you've got 5 others to choose from this same lot, or my huge collection of over 1,000 other videos that you can click through in my playlists, or you could get a personal reading. I'll just point out that if you get a personal reading, I will be shuffling out the cards on camera. I do it off camera because when it's free, I want to take less time editing and waiting for them to combine. I'd also like to point out that I have some what looks like dirt under my fingernails, and that is marker from some crafting a couple days ago. This is Taurus and Aquarius. So if either of those are speaking to you, the reading I'm doing for this month, mostly in relation to the full moon, is my yin-yang relationship reading. This reading is designed for romantic relationships, although in this reading in particular, it is not limited to that. Usually in a reading, what I get is a template for energy, and there's some leeway in there. It's like a color by number, or one of those like paint and wine kind of things where you're supposed to be doing, you know, something that sort of looks similar, but it's a little different, right? It's sort of like if you have a basilica, you've got, or the fuck is it called? A cape. A house plan for a cape, right? You've got the garage, the mudroom, the kitchen, and then you've got, you know, next to the kitchen is going to be a dining room, and then you got stairs going up the middle, you got a bathroom up top, a bathroom down below, and then there's like 2 rooms, and then you've got a living room and like a dining room on the end, or like a den or something. So it's sort of like the same pattern, but I've been to like 5 or 6 different people's houses that are cape, and they're completely different shapes. Some of them don't have the mudroom between the garage and the kitchen. Some of them are like squashed so they're boxy. Some of them are really long. You know, some of them have like slanty ceilings, and some of them don't. Some of the bedrooms are bigger, and, you know, sometimes the bathroom is in a weird place. So what I'm saying is that the template is sort of rigid, but the energy varies from situation to situation, where you can still recognize like, oh, this is, you know, this is energy flowing in this direction, like this is hot, this is cold, this is a bucket of sand, and this is a shovel. So neurodivergent story time. In this reading, we have a pile for Taurus that crosses over into Aquarius, and a pile for Aquarius that crosses over into Taurus. Usually these are going to be the bottom of the deck, but what I'm going to do in terms of filming is I'm going to just pull the bottom card off the deck and set it down so that it's not just a big stack blocking the view of the other cards. Normally this reading is 1 layer. I've got 2 here. We're dealing with the full moon. We've got secrets, secretions, fears, blocked or hidden information, stuff that you would rather ignore about yourself, the stuff that's not integrated. It's like denial, this isn't true, skeletons swept under the rug, that kind of stuff. So let me get these cards from the bottom. I'm not going to flip that one over yet. Now typically I will flip these ones over when I do the bottom of the deck in the center, because I usually start with the crossover point. Apologize for my voice. I've been talking for a couple hours today, and I'm a little bit dehydrated because I got some... Alright, oops, I wasn't going to flip that one over yet. We'll get to that in a little bit. And this one, the sun. So we have Aquarius, over here, and we have Taurus over here. All right, we'll look at Taurus first. So we have the Bardo. This is the crossover energy from Aquarius. Now, right now we're looking at what's sort of surface level, what's easily accessible or viewable from the material world. And I'm going to read this from the book because I want to, and because I don't entirely remember what this card is. It's gonna, give us a basis for this reading. Although there is a theme with these readings from the full moon energy. It's not just, that is the right book, okay. It's not just like secrets and stuff. There was a specific way in which the dynamic is working. Oh, I had it opened right to it. All right, let me hold this up. This is kind of taking the piss because the card, it's very the Akashic record is playing a little joke because it's the liminal, the in-between, and the transition. Okay, this is like in the Chronicles of Narnia, they go to this place that has all these little holes in it. And they jump into little pools. And it's also like the same as in Yellow Submarine where they get to the Sea of Holes. It's like a holding place. It's like the pearly gates with St. Peter. You gotta go to the administrative desk before you go into the room or into the level or the world. It's like when you're playing Mario and you're on the map, but the Bardo is the map, and then the level is the world. So let's put it that way. The Bardo is a place between this life and the next, a liminal realm through which souls pass. Envisioning this inherently mysterious space creates the potential for us to rise above the concerns of this world and see our relationships through a cosmic and timeless lens. Now, this is kind of what these readings are about, because we have this aspect of the material world with the first layer of the cards, and then the more spiritual, intuitive, emotional realm, which is the underlayer of the cards, the hidden part. This is giving me a little bit like passing between lives energy. Like I'm trying to cope with somebody dying, or I'm caught between my last life and this life and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. We may receive messages from those who are no longer with us or see visions of lives not yet lived. In the Bardo, there is potential to forgive the unforgivable, to say the unsaid, to see the unseen, to love the unloved, to let go of all the things that cause us pain. Now, this is a potential for healing. This is kind of like if you're doing a guided meditation and you're supposed to start out in this sort of, liminal space. It's like in the Matrix where they go into the holding room and they can load the dojo or a city or whatever they want to do, right? It's their practice room. So if you want to heal something, if you want to heal your trauma, like if you want to reparent your inner child, you go back into the memory where the inner child was abused, and in that memory you can reprogram the memory by saying, like, I'm going to go in it with me as a child, but me now. And when, my relative tries to attack me mentally or physically or other, I'm going to step in as me adult now and, kick ass and take names where I didn't have the power, and therefore I'm healing my inner child. It's like a theater in your mind's eye. And this is basically the astral realm. And I don't know how that would be visualized for somebody who, was it aphasia? Is that what it is where you can't? No, that's when you can't remember faces, I think. whatever. The thing where you don't have visions in your mind, where it's just like nothing or words or something. It might be harder, but if you've seen The Matrix or you go to a theater, you see that there's a scene being played out on a stage. Or, like I said, in The Matrix, the dojo gets loaded into the blank room. Or it's like in the Barbie movie where Barbie is talking to Ruth Handler, that's the bardo. Where you can experience healing of pain, which is really relevant to the Barbie movie, because that's what Barbie was doing. The bardo suspends us in its spaciousness for just long enough to open us up to higher wisdom. Its energy does not belong to the earth as we know it, but rather to the cosmic network of which we are a single thread. So it gives our meat brains a physical-like place to experience these sort of higher level consciousness points, or to envision something of the astral, or something, energy dimensions, non-corporeal dimensions. It's a way to visualize that, a way to experience that for people who are material. Just skimming the rest of this. The bardo is not to be feared. Take advantage of its energy by recognizing what needs to be resolved. Trust that there is a message for you from beyond. Who is speaking? Go ahead and listen. Now again, it doesn't have to be your inner child. It could be ancestral trauma where you're speaking to either a parent, a grandparent, or some relative like 10,000 years ago that you're experiencing similar problems to because it's written in your DNA that you don't know at all. You know, it's like tapping on your DNA to see what numbers get pressed and calling a random number, but all of the random numbers are still attached to you through that DNA. I think that's enough for that card. Let's move on. Okay, the Sun. Leo energy. This is 50. I'm 50. Which breaks down to 5 and 0. So we're dealing with this sort of Fool energy trying to take a leap into the spiritual realm, which is basically what I had said. And very similar rounded disc kind of energy here, the great eyeball in the sky, we have the Sun. So Leo energy, and what we have with the full moon is that we're illuminating the darkness. We are giving the most sunlight we can to the dark, to the liminal realm. And it seems very basic after what we just went through, but this is the crossover energy from Aquarius, which is a lot, you know, because sometimes the Aquarius will not shut the hell up because they have a lot of thoughts. And then we have Taurus, who's just like, yep, sun make moon bright in dark. Fine. Easy. So let's look at the rest of Taurus that's communicating in this system. The Nine of Swords. Not surprised to see this based on the Libra, Virgo, and the Sagittarius, and the Sagittarius Leo reading. Nine of Swords is anxiety, stress. It's a half moon card. Fear, nightmare, darkness, suppression. Mars in Gemini energy. Okay. And here it's more like I feel bound. I'm constricted, but it's coming in mentally. And here it's also giving me generational. I did get generational energy in the Leo Sagittarius reading, especially with this Bardo talking about ancestors. it's giving me like multi-generational bondage. Now that could be dealing with slavery issues, which is something that really does need an overhaul, in that the collective has been pushing to work on more over the last couple of years. But it's coming in mentally, so it also can be dealing with a situation that fits the template where we have been I'm trying to explain this, like kicking ourselves in the ass, chopping our own foot off with our mindset. You know, we cut the one end off the blanket and sewed it onto the other end to make it longer. Okay. I just, between these two, I just got all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So we have Eight of Pentacles, the work card. Work, 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 work. Now we have the Sun in Virgo. This is the growth energy. It's like it's like the Seven of Pentacles. It's kind of like shit or get off the pot. It's like, you know, waiting around for something to happen. And this is like, I'm getting shit done. I'm staying busy. Here it's a very physical. I'm a workaholic, so I don't have to deal with my emotional trauma. Like, I'm focused on the material world. I ain't got time for worries and fears and all that. You know, the only thing you have to fear is fear itself. And it's like, I don't have time to even think about that. I gotta get these license plates pressed, you know. Queen of Pentacles. So we have more physical world. This should be pretty good because I'm functioning creatively and in my world. I want to say blessed, but it would be more like abundant. Like my creation is pregnant. Which is something that you would see with the full moon anyway. And in that way, it's sort of like a low vibration of the Empress. 13 breaks down to 4. She is Sagittarius and Capricorn energy. So it's like I'm sort of having success getting other people to appreciate my work, my physical work. But in the back of my mind, I'm eventually going to hit some kind of a mental, emotional trip switch. You know, it's sort of like, even if everything's going swimmingly, I'm feeling mentally blocked. Now, I don't think I have Taurus in my chart, but I do have a lot of Capricorn. And what I've experienced is kind of the opposite, where it's like, I'm working really hard, but I'm blocked, so I'm not getting this. But here, it's looking more like, this is what's currently happening, and this is the sort of sword of Damocles dangling over my head for Taurus, from Taurus's point of view. So we're going to look at the rest of Aquarius's energy now. So, like I said, their crossover is the sun. We're illuminating the night as much as we can. It's like the bat signal, like lighting up the sky. So we have, these are not aligned how they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a little grid. Alethea. So Let us turnip the beets. What page am I on? 221. This is one of the last couple of cards in the book. I think it's the second to last card, I believe. So this is truth. Aquarius is like, I can handle the truth. Our soul recognizes the truth. When someone speaks it, a cool wave of relief washes over the room, and all the facts and figures in the world fall by the wayside. Such is the power of aletheia. It has an undeniable resonance that goes beyond the rational. We can also recognize aletheia by its contagiousness. When we hear someone speak the truth, we see the truth within ourselves and are more likely to tell our own story. Here, Taurus, in the opposite area, their story is blocked. They're like, nobody's getting to the root cause of this issue. It's bound up and it's tied up and thrown overboard with concrete shoes on. The Aletheia card requires us to step toward an act of truth. This might look like a conversation, a gesture, a poetic act, or a ritual that honors the unveiling of what's been concealed, which is a response to that. That's been this sort of ancestral trauma that's been concealed. Reclaiming your own truth is a way to reclaim your vital energy, health, and sense of belonging in the world. Okay. It is said that the resonance of our voice changes when we speak a falsity. In this light, practice seeing truth as a vibration. Okay. Now, if you see the sun is truth. Right? It's like I'm hearing truth and I'm feeling like warm and fuzzy. And we see that these two people are seeing eye to eye. It's like, oh yes, this is resonating with me too. The truth card, Aletheia, we have the dark and the light. We have the sunshine and the shadow. Because there's no depth to reality without light and shadow. Especially if you're creating a piece of art. Right? If you're drawing a person, it looks flat as hell unless you set up shading, especially if you have the lightest light next to the darkest dark. Then things become in balance. The ocean. Okay. This, we see we have these, an eyeball here and another disc here. This is kind of like the moon. Now, in the other readings is getting this sort of deep water energy too. The ocean is where, for me, Piscean energy, where all of the feelings are. And I also mentioned in one of the readings we have this sort of long wave communication where it's like I'm connecting with the universe, and that's where that truth comes in. Now, just for funsies, I am going to skim this card just to see if there's any other little tidbits that I want to. Step into its salty waters is to step into the unknown. So it's kind of responding to the bardo. The bardo is sort of an unknown liminal space, but then the ocean is sort of the representation of that on Earth. We cannot live within the ocean. We cannot claim it, manage it, or own it. It rejects our every attempt to dominate nature. Yet amid its overwhelming power, it calls to us, inspires us, and invigorates our life on land. It dissolves the little us into the big us. That's sort of like the avatar connects to the higher self through the concept of ocean. And if you think about it, Aquarius is the water. It is the wave communication. When the energy of the ocean is present, there is change stirring that is beyond any change you've known before. The ego must dissolve. The saline swells work on your every cells, your fibers, your deepest underlying beliefs. And that's this kind of thing. It's like people can have a resistance to objective truths because they're stuck on this idea of what they believe in. And I feel like this side of Taurus with this Nine of Swords card has to do with rigid beliefs. Like I'm bound up in beliefs that are not applicable to working creatively with people in the material world. And this does sound a lot like the patriarchy, but considering that Pluto is now in Aquarius, and the last time this happened, we had the American Revolution, I'm not surprised to see that aspect popping up. And this isn't necessarily just to deal with a societal thing, although that's clearly something that's available, where it can be an individual person dealing with different aspects of themselves in this template. It can be one person dealing with a familial relationship with another person, or a boss, or a teacher, kid, child, student. It can very well be love relationship, where one person is like, la la la, I can't hear you, I'm busy working, and the other person is like, I'm gonna tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Take your goddamn hands out of your ears. And we see that there's a fractal energy from self to self, self to other, and then parts of society to society. And then it would, to take it larger, would be humanity to, say, whales, or humanity to every other animal on Earth, or the Earth to Sirius B, for example. Sirius B is a star, but I was saying, you know, whatever planets are over there, or like the Earth to the moon Europa out there in, I can't remember if that's a Jupiter moon or a Saturn moon, but it's different, like fractal levels of communication between two bodies that are in some way distinguished from each other, but still ultimately connected. And it's sort of like if you solve your own problems, you might, within yourself on this template, then you can, the pattern repeats with the self and your partner, and then it repeats in society. So it's like by healing your own trauma, society is forced to, gets knocked by the same wave, right? You create a wake in your boat, someone's just laying there on their floaty, their patriarchy floaty, and it starts wobbling up and down because you've created a ripple. That's what we're talking about here. All right, now let's look at this other card for Aquarius. The Unseen. Sorry if you are colorblind. We have an eyeball with pointillism little specklies. Looks really good on the camera for me, and not so much in person. All right, so obviously we're talking about something hidden. This is number 27. This was, what was this? 15? No, 35. 77. Very auspicious. Right? 11 times 7. Universal timing and movement. And then 35 breaks down to 8, which is responding to 8 over here. And then we have 27, which breaks down to 9, which is responding to the 9 over here. And 19, the sun, breaks down to 10, which is fine, but we also have the 9. And then 50, we see a 5 here, and then whatever. So we've got some number repeating that go into each other. And it's not that big a deal. All right, so Aside from the fact that we know that we're dealing with something that's sort of an undercurrent and unseen, let's just skim the book to see if there's anything else exciting that we want to know about the unseen. And it does remind me of Beetlejuice, where Lydia is reading the book for the recently deceased, and she's quoting it to Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, and she's like, live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual, and that way it becomes she becomes unseen. Okay, so this is the spirit, the ancestor, and the eternal, and we are dealing with what looks like ancestral trauma or some kind of entities that are eternal that will come into the bardo to speak to us. And we cannot see them unless we're in that liminal space that's outside of normal meat space. The unseen is just as it sounds. We cannot see it, yet it sees us, watching and waiting with wisdom, both kind and instructive. I know what the other thing was that I was going to say. If you see cuts in this video, it's because I am either dealing with extra noises in the house, traffic, snarfing into my tissue, or drinking my water, or I've really bungled speaking and decided not to make you listen to that. If I do a personal reading, I guess all of that gets in there unless I start like farting or blowing my nose, because I don't think people really want to hear that. But otherwise, most of the stuff will be in a personal reading, and you'll see me shuffle out the stuff. So anyway, we feel his presence, sense it, intuit it, and then doubt its existence, though it rallies our attention time and time again. So this is where the swords come in. It's like you had 9 chances to hear this message, and you were like 8 times you were like, I don't hear a goddamn thing. And now it's like you're being watched. And the truth is about to give you a wake-up call. The energy of the unseen may come in many forms. A compelling dream, that's the astral, a sudden insight, a clear voice, or a vision or message from a loved one who has passed to the other side. And that's what the bardo was talking about. And we see that reflected over here in the Aquarius side. It's natural to fear these communications, and we see the fear over here, as they challenge our perception of what is real. And that is the truth. And I was saying that there's a resistance to truth in this reading. Like Aquarius is like, I've given up resisting the truth. I'm like all up in it. I'm swimming in all of the truth swimmies with my little floaties on. When this card appears, your guides are near. The doorway between worlds is ajar. Listen, the sounds may seem as though they come from a distant land, but they call from your innermost chambers. So this is the idea of understanding that we're trying to connect to a spiritual realm to get critical information. And it's like, if you can sort of push these truths away and pretend that that whole realm doesn't exist, then you end up creating this kind of tied up stabby energy. Or it's sort of like, instead of flowing waves, they end up crystallizing and breaking up like glass shards until they're all stabby. Hopefully that makes sense. Like you're making marzipan and snap it all of a sudden. Okay. Oh, oops, that one goes here. Okay. So now that we've seen what's kind of going on, what we want to do is look at the underlying energy of the hidden part of what's going on here. It's sort of like we've got this, like, I've got something to say, I'm not listening, and now we need to find out what it is that's not being, like, what is the actual truth, and that should be in the underlying layer. So we're going to start with Taurus again. Ace of Cups. So we have a lot of feelings here. And I'm not surprised to see that, because for me, cups are kind of the opposite of swords. You know, like if I turn this Nine of Swords upright, I'd have Nine of Cups, which is, I'm feeling pretty good. But here I have the Ace. And what I've got, a 9 and 1 is 10. It's saying I want to complete something. I want some kind of magical push into the next realm. It's kind of like my whole heart chakra is going to be blown open, but here I think the issue is actually the third eye. My third eye is going to, that's all calcified, is about to get blown open. The pineal gland. So here we have a 3 inverted, the 3 of discs, the 3 of pentacles. And in this deck it's called Works. It's like what you're doing doesn't work anymore. Like, stop being a busybody. Stop working. Like, take the thing, put it down, break it down, stop. And it looks like a little, like a hover boat, creating wake. It's kind of like saying, wake up. Like, pull your nose away from the grindstone, and you need to sit there and float for a minute. Now, normally the 3 of Pentacles is like I'm working with somebody else to build something. Here, it's I need to work to break down. Right? The root of the problem is that I need to break down this fear wall. Right? 3 is the root of 9. And now we have the 5 of Swords, defeat. The agony of defeat after standing on them all day. So this is where we have the 50, right? I have 10 times 5 is 50. It's like I feel defeated if my work is interrupted, if I have to stop what I'm doing, if I have to become something other than I am. But let's look at 5 of Swords overall. The energy is Venus in Aquarius. I'm not surprised to see the Aquarian energy showing up here. 5 of Swords is usually mind games for me. It's also like I've got to have the last word. I'm the last man on the battlefield. I'm not going to give up my position even if we've lost the war. You know, it's like you can't change my mind. La la la, I can't hear you. And it's interesting that it's coming in under this Queen of Pentacles, because the 13 of the Queen breaks down to 4, which is like this wanting to work with other people hasn't been enough to overcome this energy of feeling like it's kind of like I feel like I can't do it even though I'm pretending like I can. You know, like a fear of lack, like an ego of lack. Even though I'm busy, and I'm trying to present like I'm abundant, in the background, it's like I felt like my heart is empty, and if I stop working for 1 second, it's all gonna fall apart. If I don't maintain a strict course, everything's gonna fall apart. So let's look at the last crossover piece here. So we have Aries, Mars in the challenge position. All right, so let's look at the thing here. And this does give me the same sort of energy as here, a sort of like conflict. 50, and this one is 5. So this is also a 5. I'm afraid if I bring my idea into society, someone's going to steal credit for it and get all the money, and I'm going to be left with nothing and defeated. So if I keep working, then I don't have to worry about this nightmare of never achieving. Well, let me look at this card just for funsies. Come on, where the fuck are you? It says activism, which might go into that idea of patriarchy and Black Lives Matter and equality and stuff like that. With Mars by our side, we can assert ourselves in the world. Our presence is felt and our voices are heard. Does that not sound like what I've been saying in this reading? Like a flame, Mars rises upwards and helps us stand strong for what we believe in. Social justice movements are a great example of Mars energy in action. With clarity of purpose, Mars lends us to peaceful change, the upholding of human rights, and respecting the unrepresented. When Mars appears in a reading, there is strength and vigor required to face the challenges ahead. It may take the form of speaking your truth, hello, getting yourself out of a harmful relationship or job, or getting involved in activist work. As alchemists, we must be very precise with our dosage of Mars, as in uncontrolled amounts, it leads to outbursts and violence. Okay. So this is in the challenge position. So it's like we're making progress, but we're not always as stable as we think we're going to be. Sometimes we get a little spicy and then it ends up in like another defeat. The agony, and I said the agony of defeat. Mars may express itself through nightmares or distraught dreams. Use creativity when it's at work. The metal of Mars is iron. To rule with an iron fist illustrates their pairing. Okay. The sort of ruling with an iron fist energy did come out in the Leo Sagittarius reading. This to me makes me feel not like this person is necessarily working like a tyrant, because the Queen of Pentacles comes out. It's sort of like, look at me, I'm soft and gentle, I'm working hard, I'm abundant. But there's this sort of undercurrent of, I'm working as hard as I can. What if it's not enough? I don't want to get caught up in having to fight when I can build instead of destroy. That's what I'm getting there. Oh, put this here. All right, so let's look at the other part of Aquarius. Six of Swords inverted. So this is science, and it's inverted. Now, if I were going to take this into a sort of a socio-political global thing, I would say, you know, science is on its head. Fundamentalist religious stuff is causing a problem that is creating friction that some people are trying to pull away from war with this idea of resolving sort of repeated nightmarish scenarios with actual truth. But it doesn't always have to be that, because we're talking about different things that will fit in this template. When we have the Six of Swords inverted, it tells me scorpionic energy, which is I need to go deeper. And that's what we're doing. We're looking at the undercurrent that's being opened up on the full moon. Traditionally, the Six of Swords is the moon in Aquarius. And I'm not surprised that we're seeing that. Oh wait, no, that's the 7. What the hell? The 6 is Mercury in Aquarius. Mercury in Aquarius. So we have this idea of communication kind of doubled up. But with it inverted, it's like my Wi-Fi is down. Like let me look at the problem of communication deeper. It's not just that we're on a Zoom meeting, it's that we need to actually hear the other person instead of just listening to the words that are coming out of their mouth. Alright, let's see what this other... What else have we got for Aquarius? Okay, so in a kind of slightly downward, we have the magnum opus, the great work. So this is like the biggest thing you could ever do in your life. It's like, what are you going to be known for? And this is coming in under the truth. If what you do in your life is make it about what is true, that's kind of like the biggest thing you can ever do. But I feel like I just repeated myself, so let me read from the book. Okay, because magnum opus is really important. Just hold it upright for a second. So it was coming in kind of cockeyed, which means that there's this sort of resistance or blockage, or it's like, I wish I could be doing something more important than, you know, shouting at deaf ears. The magnum opus shimmers in the distance, promising purpose, achievement, and understanding. When will we get there? When will our efforts be recognized? Amidst pressure and expectations, we come to realize each alchemist's life is an accumulation of moments in which attention is placed upon a subject within the laboratory. Your whole life is made up of everything that you worked on, which we see over here. It's like something related to attention and intention. You cannot force the great work. You cannot claim it or complete it. This card arrives to whisper words of encouragement. You are in the right place, the most important place for you. If one's claiming to be working on their magnum opus, it's likely they aren't. The alchemist knows that the great work occurs without realizing it, as it's a collaboration with the divine. So we're talking about, again, about this connection between materiality and spirituality. And it's sort of like it's like behind this idea of the truth, it's like, this is the most important thing I could ever do with my life. But it's sort of like the most important thing you could ever do with your life is, it's like to maintain course is to be true, but you also want to be in flow with those waves that are forming. You don't want to try to like cut across a 40-foot like rogue wave when you can ride with it. And then say like, my greatest achievement was surfing this wave. And it's like, yeah, but you destroyed a boat and 5 people got injured. It's like your greatest achievement is letting the flow of the water carry you, and then discovering an island that had a mineral or a food on it that helps cure cancer, let's say. Okay. Let's look at this other card. It's like, this is going to be the best thing I've ever done. And then it's like something goes wrong and you feel defeated. But then it's like, that situation can then prompt you to move into something else that feels more natural to you. And then, 5 years later, you realize like, oh, this is like the most important thing I've done, not that thing that I thought I was supposed to do. All right, so let's look at this card for Aquarius. So we have gold. I know it's sort of like inverted, but this one I don't feel like is inverted. And this is looks like the Sun card combined with the Bardo. We have a metal that doesn't tarnish. We have the energy of the sun. We have this reflective property. We have communicative property because it's used in, I believe, they have gold in computers. All right, it's technology. Let's look at gold. It's sort of talking about the gold as being your core self, right? Transmuting lead into gold isn't, you know, making money. It's transmuting the base self into a more vibratory self. Right, it says, it is a substance buried deep within, sometimes referred to as gold of the wise, philosophic gold, the ethereal stone, or the divine quintessence, among countless other names. Right, not the physical metal, but the mystical essence within each alchemist. So we have soft and radiant, with the sun itself, warm and bright, and associated with the heart. So when this card arrives, there's something of incredible value at hand. Marvelous and rare. The gold card carries a distinct shadow. If mistaken for a purely physical material, it can lead to greed and excess, causing the alchemist to lose their way. Okay, here, this is important. In some wisdom traditions, gold is seen as a nectar, a sap, a honey-like substance coming from trees, bees, and even the pineal gland. Okay, and this is what I was talking about, why I think this reading isn't the heart chakra. I think it's the third eye, which is the pineal gland. All right, let's look at the last one here. Rex Marinus, the Drowned King. Oh, okay, that's interesting. It's like, you sank my battleship. And I'm not surprised to see this with the ocean. We had the Queen of Pentacles here, but we didn't have really a masculine... Well, we had Mars here, but there isn't like a king energy unless you take the Sun, Leo, as the king themselves. So let's take a look at this for deeper reading. It's like, why are you at the bottom of the ocean? You can't breathe down there. It's like, why does my thumb hurt? Probably from shuffling for an hour yesterday. Rex Marinus, the Drowned King. Okay, so we have ego collapse, losing face, and humility. And we see that with the Leo card, too, because you're coming in with cards like, is this Mars in Leo? Is that what? No, that's the Five of Wands, which is a similar energy. Five of Wands, Six of Wands, Seven of Wands. Those are Leo energies. And then the Sun itself. Those sort of ego cards of, I'm winning, I'm the best, look at me, I'm shiny, and I'm not, you can't come in, I'm not moving from my position. Those are those kind of Leo energies that can be related to the ego. And then we have like the Sun in Gemini, totally destroyed ego. The Sun in Virgo, look at me, I'm dancing. And the Sun in Aries, which is, I'm getting all of my shit. Like, look at me getting stuff. So the ego. The aspect of the self that is attached to its title, name, and identity. The Drowned King is said to be a required phase in the process of transformation. Only through dissolving who they thought they were is the king able to become who they are destined to be, a kind and benevolent leader. Now this, the unseen, And the drowned king, it's like this pointillism is saying this person is being dissolved. How does the drowning occur? Not voluntarily. Through circumstances beyond their control, the king is brought to their bottom, to their knees. And that would be that defeat energy. When this card appears, expect a huge blow to the ego. Impactful enough that it causes one to turn their life around. Prioritizing grace over greed, benevolence over brutality, sovereignty over selfishness. The drowned king eventually resurfaces as a fully changed, benevolent being. Now, this also is like the same as the wounded king. When you hear stories, I think it was like the Merovingian king, where they came in and usurped him, and they cut off his junk and they put him out in the woods. And that's usually the sort of ego death of the king there, where it's like, well, we're not going to kill you, but we're going to maim you and dissolve you and so on. I think there was some tribe, some place in history where when the leader of the people was deposed, they would cut off his nipples because the chest was the symbol of his valor, with a very leonine kind of situation there. Can't remember what society that was, though. Water is the main mechanism for the dissolution of the ego. Although the king may kick and scream all the while, I don't know why I couldn't read that right, eventually their new mantra will be go with the flow. And that's exactly what I was talking about with the riding the waves thing. The drowned king prevents tyranny and redistributes power. We all must experience this energy from time to time to stay balanced. Okay. So a lot of the details of these cards go back into what I was saying. And essentially we're looking at a problem from two different points of view. I'm looking at it from this end of the paintbrush on Taurus and this end of the brush on Leo. But it's still part of the same spectrum. And when I get to these two crossover points, I'm like right here at the grippy part of the brush that's telling me what these two things have in common. Here we're sort of like Taurus feels like they're more on the resistant end, and Aquarius is more on the I'm literally going to die if something doesn't happen soon. And it can also be like, this is like the worker who is saying, like, I'm tired of hitting a wall every time I try to do something, every time I try to create something better for society, I get stabbed in the back by corporate, by the man. And in order for the truth to be seen, my magnum opus isn't necessarily making whatever bullshit I'm making. It's rectifying the energy of control in society. And again, that could be within yourself, within a partnership, either business, familial, or romantic, or it can be this whole overhaul bleh, that society is going through right now. And it's very hard to separate this reading from the fall of the patriarchy and Pluto and Aquarius at large. And usually when I do like a pick-a-pile where I have the Lenormand and I do a grid, almost invariably one of them is going to be a societal thing. I don't think I've separated Aquarius and Taurus out enough, but as you can see, these energies are conjoined. But this is working more from the idea of what I've been trying to build in the physical, but I'm trying to deal with this sort of long-lasting, possibly ancestral structure that's been pushing me down. And this is where I'm facing this masculine analytical style energy that's been using pseudoscience to validate holding all the power because they're afraid to go swimming in the truth. And it's not to say that Aquarius is a piece of shit, because Aquarius is holding a lot of the good cards over here. It's saying that the way that you communicate is being cosmically altered. And some Aquarians are going to be on the forefront of that, making the change that will clear the trauma for Taurus. And in other aspects, the Taurus side is going to be using this liminal space of the bardo to like download more power in order to kick the ass of the distorted Aquarians. So you see how that works, hopefully. So I'm going to leave it there. You can, again, there's other readings available. You can get a personal, email me, thecatcamebackatcamp, all one word, at gmail.com. And I'm taking PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App for those readings. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye. Thank you for watching. Stay connected with CATtheMinion energy work. Check out my complete suite of goods and services conveniently from my Linktree. linktr.ee/CATtheMinion. Color your way into some relaxation with my coloring books Energy Forms and Draco Forms on Amazon. Get groovy with fashion and home accessories from my Cafe Press or Redbubble shops. Decorate your environment with original art and divination tools from my Etsy shop.